What is up, Total Excellence? Yeah. So, today is the day, our first ever indie spotlight, which is Nicholas Mueller. If you do not know Nicholas Mueller, pretty much he's the creator for Demon Hunter Raven. This was like an overnight success when it first launched. It launched like it got fully funded less than an hour, to be exact. But I have the guest that will most definitely will let me know exactly within that time frame. This creator, he's really cool. I get to talk to him time to time through Twitter, and he's also a big supporter to this channel. Whenever I go live, he just retweets even like, and just not only me, but other indie creators. And I notice that a lot. And trust me, I hope you guys notice him as well. So I'm going to invite right here, Nicholas Mueller. What is up, Nick?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good, dude. I just hope that I just said your name right, because I know we were behind the scenes.
Wasn't even paying attention. Sounded right.
All right.
Sounded good.
Awesome, dude. So let's talk about Demon Hunter Raven, dude. It's nuts. What's the exact time frame?
It was like a half an hour to 40 minutes, so like roughly an hour. Wow. And then we hit our and then I think we hit our first stretch goal of 1K around 10 hours. So yeah, that was that happened, and I was not expecting that. And some really cool people came through. I mean, everyone came through. I mean, we're up to 52 backers on our first day. So that's, I don't know. I'm still speechless. I'm still trying to put it all together. I still can't.
I know, dude.
I don't know.
That's how success goes, dude. It's a lot to give in.
I don't know if you call it success, just hard work and just
no doubt about that. Let's just give some shout outs. We got Dio Brando. Yo, what is up, Dio? Thanks for coming by the stream. And we got the biggest tier that I don't know who else would go behind this dude. We got the Calvary Collective, aka Paul. Paul had the highest tier, which we're gonna showcase right now, dudes. Goodness gracious. Boom. So if you guys have not backed this already, I sure as have backed it. I mean, you can see on my thing it says manage your pledge. So I got this one. I got the early bird for the DHR bundle special. So
and that's all gone now.
Yeah, I bet, dude. It's all gone, dude. It's all gone. I didn't need to pay shipping or anything. So shame on you dudes for not taking advantage of this.
52 people got that early bird special, so they got in.
So we're gonna break down the whole pledges. So for the pledge for $5 or more, chapter 2 of the digital, which is gonna be a PDF form, estimate within March of 2021. For the $8 pledge or more, digital catch-up, which you will get chapter 1 and chapter 2 of the PDF of Demon Hunter Raven. Pledge $10 or more, chapter 2 physical copy, and just take a look at the cover, dudes, because look how gorgeous that is. Holy crap, man!
You did a color mock-up of it too, and I did.
Really but then, like, once I saw like the little teases of the colors, I'm like, oh man, it's like
I wasn't expecting that either. Well, I handed it off to Nestor, and I said, "Man, just do your work, just do your thing." And he's like, "Yeah." He said, "Just watch out." And I was like, "Okay." And then he showed it to me. Like, "You like it?" And I was like, "I freaking love it, man! Holy cow!" So
man,
he went all out on that thing.
Yeah, I bet, man. Because bro is like, I had a feeling too. Is like, I think Nick either showed it off to him, or Nick was like, man, I'm gonna break this poor dude's heart. I hope I still have that interview spot after this. Yeah, no, dude. Like when I saw the color, I'll be honest. When I saw the color, like I felt a frustration, but at the same time, like I just want to improve. So that's another way for me to like push myself even harder for
Well, and you surprised me because I hadn't seen the colors from what I sent in already yet, and then yours came in. I was like, oh man, that's pretty good. And so yeah, I mean that was awesome. But I mean the main reason why I chose Nestor is because he is the colorist for Punchline when that Weldon and him are working on.
Oh,
so
wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so like why not get that team together and knock out another piece? So
yeah, of course, dude. You can, it's like PB&J is like, don't get somebody else if it's a match, it's a match. You can't.
So yeah, I might have to hit you up soon for something once I get some stuff pulled together and see where we're at. So
I'm down with that.
Expect the DM soon.
Oh, all right. I'm pretty psyched for that one. But yeah, dude, I love the cover, man. It is just fantastic. I'm looking through so again, we're gonna go through. I would want to like go through all of it, but you guys, I put down the link for the Kickstarter. You guys can read. Hopefully, you do, because it's just a lot of stuff, a lot.
Right.
And then we got the really cool ones where you get to be drawn into the book, and I was kind of concerned when I see Nick's tweets and he says, "Oh, like I'm working on the pages, boom, 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 this, that," and I'm like, "Oh man, it's like I want to help this dude out with the campaign and everything," and I'm like, "Oh, so let me hit this dude up. Hopefully, I might get something." And surprisingly, you said yes, and
oh, dude, I was honored that
you even accepted this, but no, dude, like it is. Hopefully, I'm not taking too much of your drawing time or how far you are with the book.
I'm almost done. So it's aside from the get drawn into pages and just what needs to be reworked. I'm just finishing flats and heading into texturing like lights and shadows and that. So,
fantastic,
the minute I ended the first campaign, I immediately jumped onto this, and the current pandemic really put a halt on my other work jobs. So this just came number one priority. Just sitting out my butt at home. So it's been 3 months of just pumping this out. I wrote the script, started drawing, inking, and just kind of got feedback on the first book and started talking to people and then started making connections. So yeah, it's been a lot of work behind the scenes, and I try not to show a lot of the behind the scenes until I'm really halfway there. Because you don't want to spoil too much. You want to have enough in your in your stuff to show off that you're to that point. There's a ton of stuff I still haven't shown yet. I'm excited to start revealing, which I actually sent something to you today that I'm.
Oh yeah, dude. Don't worry. We're gonna get into that because I'm awesome. Like, I know when I responded to you, I'm like, dude, it's like, if you could see my face when I saw that, it's like the word, because again, I was at work when you showed this to me, and I'm cool. A little bit exhausted, but I'm like, when I saw this, like, gave me freaking life again, bro. It's like, oh, it's right like on. I want to work on my book after I saw that page.
Right.
But yeah, dude, I'm taking up too much, but I want to go on and start with the introduction for people to let just have them know who you are, Nicholas. Like, what's your background and everything, man, and how you got yourself around with comics.
So I was born in. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I started drawing at a real young age, and it's just been kind of something I did all the time. And then it became kind of a necessity for therapeutic measures due to some tragedy I suffered as a young kid. And it just kind of putting pen to paper is just something I've always known how to do. I originally started making comics back in the early 2000s, and I was part of one of the first few anthologies that Alterna put out, like real early 2005, 2006 or whatever. And I had another guy had a 4-page short story in there. I didn't even know Alterna at the time, and I didn't make that connection until like a year ago. I was like, oh, I was in that book. And then I reconnected with some other creators on that. So yeah, for a while there, I was really shooting to become a professional artist, and was looking after Jim Lee. I went to conventions, got portfolio reviews and stuff like that, and it I ended up getting really sick back in about 2008 when the economy crashed, and I had some jobs lined up. I was doing some background work on some stuff, and I ended up not getting paid, and stuff started piling up, and it was the typical freelance, kind of got ripped off on a few things. And there were some people that weren't ripping me off. They were just unable, like we had an agreements and I had fell through on them because I ended up getting so sick. So then I took like a 10-year sabbatical and I just wasn't drawing. I was doing other stuff and entered other career sectors. And I think in this last 6 years, I've really been taking it serious and trying to kind of re-navigate this world again. So as we were talking backstage here, Demon Hunter Raven's been in the works for about 2 years now. And there's an earlier version that I really don't want people to see anymore. But
that's fine. Don't worry. It's just only between you and me.
But that'll actually be people that backed the early bird tier will get the design book, the digital PDF, and it will have those really early designs and those pre-conceptualizations of what it was before that. Because, I kind of believe in the motto of trial by error, and I erred a lot of times to get to where I'm at right now. So, like, everyone saw this blow up yesterday, but this has been kind of a long road, a long journey to get to this point, and we still got a lot to go. I mean, we're pushing to get even like this turned into 40 pages instead of 34. And then if we head even further down, we're going to add another chapter with 20 pages. So there's a potential to have 4 books in this thing. So over like 100 pages worth of content, and then 200 pages if you back at the other levels for like the BMR catalog. So this is something I've been working on for a while, but it's just now getting noticed, and that's pretty cool because you never know when things are just suddenly going to click, when something will happen. So
exactly. No, that's crazy, dude. So yeah, no, I got a question for you. Is like, you talk about like you used to work with Alterna. There's like behind the scenes stuff, and I really want to know about your background because, dude, like every time, like we follow each other on social media. And I started noticing like you are really into like marketing and stuff. Are you more into social marketing, or you're more like how I am, like network marketing, like more personal networking?
Yeah. Although I think in hindsight, you need to have social as part of it too, because if you're just networking, making connections, at some point, some people start feeling like they're getting used. So you have to create and build relationships. I do in another part of my job, I do work marketing, and yeah, for this last year before COVID hit, I was doing that consecutively and trained in that area. And then things happened and it's been kind of derailed, but hopefully things pick up.
No,
so,
of course, dude.
Yeah, I think networking and socialization, socially with people, not socialization, needs to be hand in hand with each other. So if you're going to network, you need to also be upfront. And I just think you need both. You really do. And because Paul's in the chat, I think he's one of those best examples of a guy that's he's social with people, but he's also networking at the same time. And whether he's intentionally doing that, he's got all the right things there to do that. And I think he set himself up for a big funding day as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it, dude. It's like I've been on Twitter for like maybe for 2 years. I haven't even checked Paul's, and like his is like blew up.
Yeah,
I'm like, what the heck? It's like, Paul, dude, is like, can we be best friends? It's like, dude, it's like.
But I guess that's an area that I want to get into just real quick before we derail. There's a way to network and be social with people, and then there's a bad way to do it. And I stress this heavy on Facebook because Facebook is terrible for this idea where people come into your DMs and they just suddenly drop a link, and they just expect you to be like, oh, cool. And sometimes you can turn that around and be like, hey, what is this? You can turn that around, but half the time you want to be one-on-one with people. Like if you're in someone's chat, talk about them. Don't just talk about yourself. Talk them up. So I think there are people doing it, but they're doing it wrong. And that can be really annoying. In fact, I think I've had several people in the last weeks just shoot me random messages with their stuff, or just shoot me an invite to a group, and I don't know them. I've never met them, and I'm likely to decline it and actually ignore their book when it potentially could have been a really good, thing. And that, if anything, that puts people off. So if marketing 101 here is, no one likes to tell a marketer, don't just cold call people. You have to be some sort of familiarity. You need to have some sort of, in the sector that I work in, we call it the 30-second rule. You have 30 seconds to grab their attention, not annoy them. And because sometimes you don't have that familiarity. You don't have that warm lead. This is what we call the cold lead. So you only have a certain amount of time to not annoy them.
Yeah.
And so if you then get past that point, and you have to read people, and on the internet, that's really hard. So if
Oh
you
yeah,
can figure
no.
out, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can determine that they're not annoyed by you, or um, they're okayed, or they're accepting to the further conversation,
Mm,
start leading into maybe questioning them like, hey, I do this and this. I see that you have this going on. Maybe there's a potential thing that we could collaborate on.
mhm.
Offer up services. So that's my marketing spiel in a really generalized summarization.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with me, like on my background, like I have like a mentorship. I take mentorship classes, and
Mm,
like I learn how to talk. They recommend me books, like self
mm,
development and all this stuff, and then
cool.
they taught me like how to sell and all
Yeah.
this stuff. Is like it's like you gotta don't talk like when you talk to somebody is like this, like don't talk to sell them. You talk to them, get to know
Yeah.
them, and then you can share the product. And if you see
Exactly.
something that clicks between you two, then if someone shares something that's personal, then you can share something personal back, and then boom, you got them.
Exactly.
And
100% agree. 100%.
and so that's a secret for you guys that are watching tonight. But with Paul, he easily taken us out.
I
He's
got
already
one
ahead of the
coming up.
game with that one. But yeah, but enough of that. Enough of all that grossness. This is
Enough
all
value
about
to the
Nick right now.
conversation.
So yeah, Nick. So what was the development like with creating Demon Hunter Raven? Because you said it was like a 2-year development. Like,
Yeah.
how was it like just creating the character and the world building and all that stuff, man?
Mm. Well, it only was 2 years because the first iteration failed so heavily, um,
Hmm.
which I own up to. It was bad. It wasn't good. It just didn't click with people. So instead of
Right.
trying to force it onto people, I went back and I said, okay, what's not working here? And so I started peeling back layers, and just started looking it over, and just started asking myself, I'm like, is this a product that I would buy? And I came ultimately down to like, no, I'm just making this because I want to sell something. I want to put myself out there. So when I started actually looking at a product that I myself would buy, and in turn would want to have in people's hands that I felt was good, I started looking at like what makes a good book, what is successful, and what do you need in that. So in reality, a lot of the development time was just done a lot of research, and just picking apart at way at things, and just looking at like books that were being successful. I'm like, if you look at like Tim and Mark and their ability to just put out books right now, like Common America and Black Ops and that stuff. There's a
Yeah.
lot of structure to that, and that markets itself. So um, a lot of the design and that stuff was just looking at even the main character. Like, does he stand out? Is he a protagonist that will draw people in right away? Like, if you can't identify with the main character, the rest of the book's going to fall apart. Like, maybe you'll have a good supporting cast, but that main character has to hold up the series. Um,
Exactly.
so that was kind of the main point of it took so long because I did a lot of research. I went to a few cons and I had like a preview book. I only had the first 20 pages, which is the preview on the site, and I would get feedback at cons from people, and put out a free preview, and I would just take back their feedback and just kind of regroup and just look at over my work and be like, okay, this guy said this, and again, you take it as you go, and
Right.
right, you make sure that it's actually good criticism, or what you're getting. So, and even when the first book came out back in May to June, I got some people saying stuff like, "Oh, this part's a little confusing." So then I went back and I added a chapter 0 and said, "Okay, yeah, you're right. I need to flesh that out a little bit," which
Mm.
I'm not sure I fully did, but I guess that's up to people's um, views and stuff. But
Yeah.
mainly, it's just a matter of subjectively looking at your work and not being totally 100% married to it, and allowing yourself to see it from the reader's view, and asking
Mhm.
yourself, countlessly, like, would I buy this? Is this something I would sell? Is this something like not to be in love with the dream of like I want to put a comic out? Good.
Right.
How are you going to do that? So a lot of it was just researching and mulling things over, and then coming up with a game plan. Like, okay, if I fund this part, what do I want to do later? Um,
Hmm.
so yeah.
Wow. That's pretty good stuff, man. So how did so this character here, Demon Hunter Raven, what's his background? Why in the world is he blue? and even the character design. What was the inspiration behind that? That to me is my intrigue to him.
Okay. So there's a few things behind his design because I think I pulled from like 13 different inspirations, but there's a show called Casern, and it's a live action Japanese show that came out about roughly 2008. And the main character of the live action had like some sort of face mask over him, and I just thought that was the coolest thing, like this idea of hiding the face, but yet leaving the eyes exposed and still continuing this like secret identity. And it more or less had to do with the way that the Lightstone, the power source in him, fuses with him. I wanted that to be kind of this idea of like on the Critical Blast show, he was talking about like Jamie Ray, the Blue Beetle, the newest version of him, like how
I remember. I watched it.
Yeah, so it's in the same sort of vein of this Lightstone is a living sentient being in him, but without giving away too much spoilers as to what it is, because we'll find out more in the next chapter.
Right.
So it was kind of using a lot of things like that. I used the idea. I looked at the character designs for Max Steel, that Disney show that came out like maybe 10 years ago.
Oh my god, dude!
Yeah,
yeah, I watched the original Max Steel, and when I watched the reboot version, I'm like, who is this? This is not my Max.
Right. But I like the designs. Yeah. I like the designs of the suit and the way that it kind of looked like there was a sort of like a pulse like flowing through him, and then kind of weirdly, if you've ever played Zone of the Enders, the way that the mechs in there, that they have this constant pulse flowing through their suits. So I really wanted that to kind of be adamant, because he's got electrical powers. So I wanted that to be kind of prevalent, of like, it looks like there's power constantly flowing through him. Those are the ones I can remember off the top of my head. There's about like 5 other ones that I looked at, and in the design book, I'll actually show how I just kept going back and forth and just would take this apart and then put this on there. And there's about 5 different iterations. By the time I hit this one, I was like, all right, this is it. This is what I want to go with. And I do that with about all my designs. I just rip them apart constantly until I just find that thing that just clicks.
All right. So since we're talking about a design book, this is part of the Kickstarter, correct? Because I made sure I got everything that has to do with Demon Hunter Raven. So it would be in the $25 pledge or more, correct?
So yeah, in the early bird, the $21 one that people got a few hours ago, that had everything on it, all 3 books, and then everything digital tier. So everyone got everything on that one. But now this new tier, it stripped back a few of those things, because I wanted to say a big thank you for the people that have been following and have been supporting me since I started doing this journey. And I'm a big proponent of rewarding your fans. I mean, make them feel wanted. Just because you're out there doing this doesn't mean that they haven't been side by side with you. So the design book is something it's in flux right now. I'm still kind of mulling it over and putting in as much material as I can. And right now it's about 36 pages.
Oh, wow.
So it's got a lot of stuff in it. Like, I'm packing it full. I'm trying to give little blurbs and excerpts of like, the thought process behind designing things, and even like just the design process of what you want to know when you're designing your characters, and the flow and the idea behind it.
Wow, man. Yeah, no, I can't wait to see the design book of it, man.
Cool.
And just hearing your words is like, it just gets me excited just to even like see how you picked your brain out.
Right.
And since I have you in this interview, I can just rewatch it and just hear you all over again, and over within my own desire.
I'm a big believer in adding value. Like, you're having me on your show right now, so let's give people some value as well. Let's teach it. Let's give them stuff. They're here to watch us, but at the same time, we're here to entertain them. So
most
let's keep them.
So Paul over here at the Calvary Collective says, Nick, if you were to vaguely describe a spoiler you're excited about, how could would you hype it up in as a few words possible?
Okay, that's an easy one, because there's so much in this book that I have not been honest about, to be upfront. I'm a big fan of Hideo Kojima, and I love what he presents. Yeah, I love when he presents you something and it's not actually what you're getting, but yet he's a really good at subverting expectations. Just like in Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, when we thought we were going to be playing a Solid Snake, we ended up getting Raiden. And whether your feelings towards Raiden or whatever, I remember when I first played that game, and I was just sitting there like, who is this guy? And I ended up like just loving it later. I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. So this isn't really a spoiler, but there's certain things that I've been showing already that are just complete lies. Just complete lies.
So even like the tweet of you sharing the page, that was a complete lie. It's not even part of it.
It's all an illusion. But to actually give further development here, Violet actually is a very important character. She's an assassin that no one knows about, and that's really important because who she is and where she comes from are very important to the story. And there's several characters that showed up in chapter 1 that are slightly explained. They show up for a page, and they're going to have huge ramifications later on. And even the Crusader is not totally an honest depiction of that character. There's kind of a dual layer to that character. So how I'm presenting these things might not be completely honest. So once you read the book, I'm a big believer that I don't want to. I know you should spoil it to get people excited, but at the same time, I'm a big believer in experience the story. I want people to read it and I want them to have that spoil in that moment so that they come back and they want more. Because if I spoil it all here for you, that's cool. But I'm a big believer in read it, find out for yourself.
So you're a believer of show but no tell.
Yes. I try to give as much as I can without derailing the plot process and giving away too much stuff that would blow your mind in the middle of it. And if I do a good enough job, it'll bring people back. Because there is a very huge thing that happens in chapter 1 that just changes the whole entire scenario. And that's why the description for chapter 2 is so light. Because chapter 1 has some very spoilery things that, with having so many new people come in, I don't want to ruin their experience. So that's why I'm a little vague on chapter 2.
Okay. So
but come chapter 3, the game's off. Everyone's going to
out. So you heard it here, guys. There's going to be chapter 3 after chapter 2, dude. So,
chapter 3, I'm excited for chapter 3. I'm actually more pumped for that than this current one. And not that chapter 2 is bad, but chapter 3, I'm going to be just completely unloading new characters that I haven't shown to anyone yet.
Wow.
And I've at least got 5 more lined up, plus a huge cult that him and some other people are going to be fighting. So it's all set up. Even if you read the chapter 0, there's hints of it right there. And I'm just dropping hints. So in chapter 0, chapter 1, chapter 2, there's going to be a huge revelation for that. So chapter 3 is going to bring that all together and then push even things further. So really excited for that.
Yeah, no. And the Violet character, like it's not like she's popped up just now. Like you've been showcasing Violet for quite for like maybe a year. Because I've seen you, like before I even followed you or we even follow each other, like you will pop up somehow in my feed, and I would see Violet. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I see the artwork and everything, all the promo art and everything. Like, so Violet has been like under the loop since like what, a year, as I said it before, or maybe a little longer.
Yeah, and that's how long some of this has just been under production or pre-production and just planning. And I guess, to be honest, now that things have definitely blown up in a way that people are really into this, or they're showing a huge amount of interest, now I got to deliver on my end. But that kind of puts me in a spot now where I'm like, okay, now I have to take these next few these chapters serious, and I got to up my game for it. So I'm looking ahead already and trying to go, okay, how can I knock this next one out of the park before people have even read this one? So I'm really excited for what's even coming up next because
all right, so this is kind of like off the rails questions for production, but he says you saw the live action of Casern.
Absolutely. Casern, yeah, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but yeah, man, that movie played such a big influence on this actual series. For anyone that hasn't seen it, it's based off of an old anime, and the live action is just amazing, but it's Japanese production, so maybe some people might not care for the quality, but I absolutely love it. It's a very depressing, morbid, moody, soaked in moodiness, basically, and it's about oh man, I'm gonna blank because it's been so long since I've seen it, but it's based off of this idea of somebody. Man, Neo, do you remember? You're gonna have to. Maybe you remember what I do. I'm gonna butcher it. Maybe you can type it up in the description, and you can put it up for us, but I don't remember it. But yeah, this guy dies and he gets this suit of armor that his father puts together for him, and it just goes bonkers after that. And Raven very much holds the same sort of design as him, so that's kind of what I was going off of. So if you ever see that movie, you kind of know where I was coming from.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. When I heard like father and building him up, like I thought of Astro Boy, but
Mm.
that'd be way off. I mean,
No,
that's exactly
Takes very much from that.
Astro, and that's the thing. Like you don't know is like it's just a guy building a robot, but you do not know till further on into the
Yeah,
story. I believe it's maybe the reboot that they've like.
yeah, maybe. I'm not too familiar with Astro Boy, but actually, you bring up something here is that father building him up and everything. Fathers actually play a big role in Demon Hunter Raven. Um,
Mhm.
Even in the preview pages, you can see that there's something that happens to the father, and relationships play a big part in the series.
Mm.
Because who wants to read a story about a one-dimensional character? We want layers. So um, the supporting cast plays a big part in this series, and um, the vanishing or the loss of his father, whatever happens as you read on in the story, plays a big part internally as to how he deals with the consequences of him. As I've been telling people, Adam is a very hot-headed, angry person that he punches first and asks questions later. So it gets him into a lot of trouble. But there's a reason behind it. He's dealt with a lot of tragedy. He doesn't know how to emotionally deal with things. Um, so that kind of deals with his problems a lot, and he causes a lot of problems too.
Oh, so you're saying that it's just not only the tragedy that that causes him to act that way, but
Yeah,
in retrospect, it's because of those things. Is like um under his own notion and his own actions, it's his fault by
yeah,
default. Because like, do you believe like because of the reasons of his life that has happened now,
mhm,
you believe that maybe, and I'm just saying maybe that if he was in a better, because again that part of his life was out of
yeah,
his control and everything, but now that he's a little bit older now and he's a teenager, yeah, you're gonna fall short. Because
yep,
as us all as we were teenagers, like we're very full on testosterone and we
yeah,
have no control over ourselves. But that's when you got to take self-control.
right.
And because of that, do you believe that the reasons why he gets himself into trouble is because he just finds trouble within his own path instead of just veering away and avoiding it?
Yeah, and actually, that you're hitting on a big theme that's throughout this whole entire series is the idea of tragedy. Each character has been affected by a tragedy in their life, and they're not all directly revealed right away, but you're going to find out that each one of them has had some sort of tragedy befall upon them, and each one of them
Mm,
deals with it in a different way. Um,
wow.
I don't know if you've ever seen Bleach, but
Oh my God! Come on, man.
yeah, exactly.
Who hasn't, man? It's
But
like saying, "Who have you seen Yu-Gi-Oh? Have you seen Dragon Ball Z? Have you seen
um,
Naruto?" Those
right,
small anime shows that
right, exactly.
everyone just
But
just
if
knows.
you But if you look at each character's design and their backstory,
Yeah,
they're dealt with an idea of loss, death, like or Hime, she lost her brother. Chad lost his grandpa, and Ichigo lost his mother. So if you look at how each character's backstory is dealt with death, and the very thing they're fighting is death itself. These monsters that have come back from the death.
yeah,
The whole entire theme is dealing with loss, and so Demon Hunter Raven is the other side of that. We're dealing with the tragedy, how these people feel in that. So if you can't tell, Bleach has been a huge influence on the series as well as like fighting
mm,
demons and being empowered by these things. So um, the theme plays a huge part in it. And the other thing that you're talking about is tragedy has influenced this main character so much, but we're going to see him grow. We're going to see him evolve because who wants to sit and watch a guy get angry for 10 chapters all the way through? We want to see
yeah.
some grow. And like I know you're a big Dragon Ball fan, and
Oh my God, yeah.
and one of my favorite things is seeing Goku grow up, go from a young kid to becoming a father, and
Yeah,
having kids and having Gohan. Like I remember when I was young and watching that progression, I was just like, it gave me thoughts that I was like, oh man, okay, so that's not how to be a dad. Goku's kind of a bad dad. Piccolo's awesome.
yeah. The English job kind of justifies him trying to. He's trying, but in the original, he doesn't. He just,
Right,
all right, Gohan, boom, he
right.
just pushes him out.
And I think that's where a lot of American comics have failed is that we were heading towards that idea. We're heading towards growth, character development, and then people just said, "Hey, we might be coming to an end here. We got to stop this," because innovation stopped at some point, whether it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago. We've just hit this part now where we're just reinventing everything, regurgitating the same stories. And I think that's why us indie guys have such a huge chance right now. It's an open door for us to create this fresh new stuff. I mean, even Image has become just a door for these same guys to just tell the same stories again. And they're not what they used to be. Maybe they will someday, but it's not the same. And I know they go through cycles, but
yeah, no, I want to piggyback on that too, because I think the reason why mainstream is mainstream and indie is indie,
right.
With mainstream, they have to jump onto trends. They don't know whether it's going to become a fad or it's going to be long time and, it's going to last a lifetime.
Right.
Like even your kid or your grandkid, like if they read that comic, even if they're not within that time frame where you were, they can still relate to that. And it does not.
Exactly.
But if we got like heroes like Snowflake and Safe Space, that that causes a lot of questions. But
But you bring up a good point though. Is looking at it from a business perspective, you're talking about risk and gambling with that idea. As in, they've got so much money riding on these things now. The idea of failing is so much more costly compared to us, where we're like, I lost maybe $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. For them, they're like, we lost $20,000, or more, depending upon what they're doing, because we're not accounting for marketing. We are our own marketing team, so there's a lot much more risk at hand than what we're dealing with. And I think that's why they like picking up guys that might be on the more successful end because they've already proven to be successful.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I feel too. Is like, I like to jump onto that too. When you said like, oh, like there's a repeat, there's regurgitation.
Yeah,
and it's true. But like, if you're gonna think back now, because again, like everyone, like Rob Liefeld, like I listened to his podcast. He's talked about the '90s, and he's asked, "What are the '90s meaning to you?" If you ask me, what were the '90s meaning to me when I was like a kid, it's just I was still trying to develop everything that was going on with my life as it is. But now that I look back on it, now that we have the internet now, the internet is literally a time capsule.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need to be in you don't need to live through the 90s. You don't even live through the 80s. Hell, even the 50s or 60s.
Right.
It's like someone, like it's already been done. Someone documented it and just hashed it within their own perspective how it is.
Right.
And all that stuff. And if you ask me what the 90s were to me, it's the attitude. It's the attitude era. Legit. Not because, it's not wrestling related, but but it's like the attitude era is like there's you got Nirvana that pretty much cultivated the whole thing. You got Rob Liefeld, who's basically the Nirvana for comics.
He was,
everything. And then
mentality.
Everything is like now there's like the dark age because of Batman, like the Watchmen and Batman Dark Knight. And because of that, it influenced a new art style, influenced younger talent than the old traditional way that Marvel did. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, that's almost the same thing that they're doing now, except it's going in reverse.
It's like oversaturated now.
Exactly. It's kind of like when you watch the original Star Wars, and then if you watch Star Wars The Force Awakens, they're saying it's like the same movie, except they're like, okay, it's like history's repeating itself, except the like the end goal is different. Exactly. And that's exactly what's going on right now. Marvel's trying to repeat what they did 20, 30, 40 years ago, but they can't because it's not working now with current day, because guess what? In the 90s, there was no internet. We had dial-up. So
Yep. Well, then you run into the problem too of listening too much to the audience and paying too much attention to market trends, where you're just rehashing, like you were just saying, rehashing the same stuff. You end up repeating history, and that can become a very dangerous thing to land on, because what proved to be successful yesterday might be garbage the next day. So you always gotta really pay attention and make sure that being fresh and staying on top of that. I think that's why manga has become such a blow up, like such a huge thing right now, because it's fresh. And I'm not sure it has to do with like maybe cultural things of that, but I think because it gives people an outside perspective, and And that's what people want to do. They want to escape. They want good stories. They want good characters. They want something that's relatable. I mean, there's a reason why teenagers right now are reading so much manga, because the Japanese market identifies that group, targets it, and writes specifically for those groups. And we fail horribly on this end. We do not target. We target towards 35 and up. We've missed completely the rest of the people out there.
Yeah, no. I do believe that like there's this thing called the age gap.
Yeah.
And this is what you said before. It's like we're aiming towards 35. Hell, I'm surprised that I started reading comics like 2 years ago now.
Okay.
If you asked me when I started reading, I started reading manga.
Exactly.
Because one, the biggest marketing tactic that they ever did was because of anime. So what, like, it's a pros and cons, but the big pro is that they have a show because they know that the manga that they have is a big seller. Exactly. So they're feeling more confident, like, okay, like we can greenlit this show. The con, most people are not going to read the manga, but that's fine because those who are in the circle, they know what goes on within the story. They know ahead, like what's going to happen next.
Well, same thing. That's a great funnel effect too. I'm sorry, not to cut you off here, but
no, of course, dude. Yeah. You fill in that gap for me. Maybe you're going to say it better than I do.
No, I think you're on the same track as what I was going to say. Is that over here, I think we fail in that area because, like you're saying, anime allows people to get into the manga, or maybe the manga proves that there is a worthy process to create an anime. So you already know what is viable and what's not going to be viable. And I think just from a creative standpoint and a business standpoint, that's just a far better business model to go off of. Now, obviously, we could get into the whole entire labor issues and overworking people, but I think that's a whole entire different discussion than what we're trying to have. Because I know there's several books I started reading because of the anime. And I was like, this is pretty good. And then you go check it out and you're like, this is 10 times better.
Exactly, man.
Right.
So, well, it's going to be 10 times better, dudes, if you back Demon Hunter Raven. Issues 0 through 2. And yeah, dude, so because I read issue 0, I never read 1 nor 2. What is your recommendation when you start the reading process? Do you recommend them to read chapter 0, then go to 1, or 1 and 2 and then go to 0? Because with the comic market, they kind of confuse us in a way.
Right. You can read it. It is meant to be read. You can read it in chronological order without any issues.
Okay.
Or you can read it 1, 0, then 2, but it's numbered that way so that it doesn't 0 doesn't spoil anything of what's coming up. It just merely informs you of the characters. It was always meant to be just more or less a prologue, an introductory to what you're getting in the series. So it was kind of be like, here's what you share with people if this is what you're getting. So you can skip 0 even if you don't want to read it. It has clues for future parts of the story, but in terms of chapter 1, it's just merely filling in gaps that may have been confusing, or it told a part that was just missing in between a certain part that might explain a few things, but not too much. So yeah, you can read 0, 1, and 2, but 1 and 2 are incredibly important. So
yeah, that's why I want to piggyback and ask you that question, because if you guys follow Nicholas Mueller on Twitter, that I have under the description below, but I will back you guys up with that one, because again, down in the description below, folks, we have the Kickstarter, we have his website of his publishing, and we have his social media. But I'm going to hook you guys up. If you guys have not done already, follow Nicholas Mueller on Twitter, but he also has a Facebook, so he won't be too hard to find, because Facebook is a cesspool full of many, many creators, just like here on Twitter. Right. And yeah, dude, I like when, again, guys, this is when you got to follow your creators. When you posted issue 0 for the PDF and you got the exclusive code where we can read it for free, right? If you use the code, I'm not going to say it because maybe the code does not work anymore, but you know.
It still works. It still works.
All right, then DM Nicholas.
I don't remember what it is, but if you
I don't know either.
But
anyways, dudes, I took advantage of it, and it's exactly what Nicholas said. It doesn't spoil too much. I didn't feel like I was been spoiled. It just gave me a good idea who the character is, who am I expecting within chapter 2, and what goes after that. But I want to make sure for those who have not read it, have a good idea what to read within the chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
So we're 45 minutes in, and Nick, you're the shooter for this one. Unless you want to show off an exclusive or anything that you're going to be doing next after chapters 2, once you ship those books out.
You want to show that page I sent you right now? Because we can talk a little bit about what's coming up in chapter 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe get some people a little excited around here.
Yeah. No, most definitely, guys. Go on ahead, dudes. Share this stream, because, guys, we want this to be. Oh man, I'm telling you, dudes. When you see this page, I was like, "Holy crap!" It's like how I responded back to Nick is not how I am right now, because I'm like, "Holy crap, dude!" I feel like I'm watching a TV show right now.
Right.
The art is fantastic. All right, let me just move that. And then I'm going to go here to my Twitter. Boom!
There you go. So this page was done by Robert Nix, and I brought him on for a few pages to kind of help out and do some pages that are a little bit more involved. And he just nailed them. I've got a few more that I haven't shown yet, and I'm going to hold on to them for a while, unless he feels like showing them. He's got full control over that. Yeah, he knocked it out of the park. He's really good at he's good at everything. He can do wide action shots, close-ups, but I've always just enjoyed his more nuanced, just down to earth scenes. He's just got this really character driven sort of art. His facial expressions are just nuanced and subtle, but yet express so much at the same time that I was like, man, I can't imagine anybody else doing this, and I don't think I could pull it off. So I was really honored when he said that he would be game for this. So it's been a blast working with him, and he's just got such a good handle. Even like when I shoot him the script, send him the thumbnails, and he took it to the next level than what I had in mind. So that's really what you want to do, is when you hire someone else on, you want them to up it than what you can do. So yeah, this is the page exclusive. Robert's going to be working on some pages, so it's not just me bringing in some more games, some more talent, and just want to bring this book to the next level.
Wow, man! No, this looks fantastic. Like this is another thing too, for a tip for any creators, not just only artists, but also relating to writers as well. Is like, you have a really good artist when you look at this page and you know what's going on without the dialogue or text or anything. Like this is a beautiful page. It's like, man, it's like, I don't know. I'm just getting so getting so invested with these characters. I don't even know. It's like there's no colors. It's literally black and white, but it's just us as humans. Like we just know that even though in reality they're not real, we're just so invested with them because we want them to be real.
Right.
And we could just this page is fantastic, Nick. So how are you able to? He freaking hit it, as you said. Like he hit that ball out of the park, because that looks fantastic, man.
And I have the colors. I'm not going to show them yet.
Don't show the colors. Those people better buy it. I'm just saying.
Because when I saw the colors, it was like seeing how like Weldon's, and then when Nestor came on, it just amped it up that much more. So I can promise this is good. But when I saw colors, I was like, all right, wow, way to make me feel bad.
Yeah, no, most definitely, dude. No, this is fantastic, man. So let me see. I see Calvary. He said this. I don't know if this is a hint. There might be a handsome new face in chapter 3. Just saying.
Yeah. So Paul got one of the best tiers get designed and turned into a demon hunter, and We're gonna squeeze him in there somehow. He's gonna he'll show up at least in chapter 2 and somewhere in chapter 3. I'm gonna figure it out somehow, but I've got still some pages that are left intentionally not done, so we'll see how that goes. But hey, I see the flock just joined. Hey, man.
You see? Oh, look, the Flock comic. Welcome, dude. Hey, guys, how are you doing tonight? I'm sorry, Nick. You know the dude better than I do.
I'm honestly just kind of like, he put up something I think it was last week, and it just caught my eye, and I was like, what is this? This looks cool. So he's got a early campaign coming on, pre-launch, and people can go check that out. So go look it up. The Flock. It's on Indiegogo, nice. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Go ahead and throw the link in there. If you guys got links, throw them in there. I'm not sorry to take over and shoot that.
Yeah, out. No, of course, dude. Yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to do it because I don't really much have a moderator here in this channel, but I don't know if they'll be able to share the link. But I will most definitely would help out the Flock comic and go on Indiegogo right now. Let me just go and do my part. Okay, dudes. So while I am typing, yeah, so go on ahead and just let me go really quick. Let me swap this out and let's talk more about the higher tier that you have here. About I believe the highest one was the Demon Hunter.
Yep.
And
it turned into a Demon Hunter. Excuse me.
And
late night, you know. Yeah, and then we've got also get drawn into the book, which Neo actually is getting in on that. So he is going to be in the book, and he'll be
really?
Yeah, so I'm excited because that's going to be pretty awesome.
Now another one. Holy cow.
And Robert will be drawing that page, and that will be I'll discuss that more with the people in that part because I don't want to give away too much of the story, but
yeah, of course.
Once we start production on those pages, they'll get the first look and first see over stuff, and we'll work it out from there. But they'll be very prominent and upfront. They'll be easily to spot, and people can go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, man. So so now I found the two of the tiers. So it's the first tier is get drawn into the book, which is a very popular one in every crowdfunding, and I love this tier so much. And it says get drawn into the book and receive everything we have to offer for this campaign. So what's the first tier of the $150 or more tier? Can you give a good details of what exactly it is before we go to the next one?
So you get everything that is already presented in the book. You get every single book that is available and all the extra stuff, and then you get drawn into the book. So Neo is going to be happening. He's going to be in a scene, very prominent, and you're going to work. We'll talk back and forth and discuss how that looks. Hopefully, we're going to drive our artist crazy. So it'll be a cool scene. So you can point it out to all your friends and family, like, "Hey, man, I'm in the book," and it'll be a pretty cool tier.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So now that you explain that one, now let's go to the highest tier, and is to become a Demon Hunter. So go into the details of that. I know you gave a little bit hint here and there, but it's now you just really go full force on that one.
All right. So obviously this book is about demon hunters. Raven is just the main focus, but there are other categories of demon hunters. And just to kind of give a little lore here, the Order is the biggest demon hunting group out there. They're a paramilitary group within the church, and their whole task is to basically go hunt demons. So someone gets the chance, if they back at this level, to become an independent demon hunter, part of the Order. We'll discuss that in behind scenes because there's some lore that I haven't shared with everyone, and they will become privy to those ideas that will be becoming big and prominent in chapter 3. So they have the potential to become be a character in one of the later ones. We'll discuss how that wants to be done, or they can even show up in chapter 2. So kind of figuring out a lot of those little things. But and then also we'll do a really cool pinup that will be exclusive to you, and we'll send that your way. So get a cool pinup of your character, get put into the book, potentially in chapter 3. We'll iron out all those details with the particular person, but it's and I'll be designing that with a person, so we'll be talking back and forth. So it has a lot of potential to be just anything, and hopefully it doesn't become a mess because sometimes I can go crazy. So I'm really excited to work on that.
Yeah, no, most definitely, man. I'm excited for you. It's like just oh man, it's so awesome, dude. Oh man. So, anyways, now that we were talking about the highest tier and everything, now the one that's really interested to me, like I was debating whether to go either for only Demon Hunter because I want to be invested with the character, but you also have a tier where it's called the BMR Nation Bundle, which you have all your previous work. You not only have Demon Hunter, but you've got the Northern Knights Volume 1 of the physical, and you got Elijah the Prophet manga.
Right.
So yeah, dude.
And I can't believe you're actually one of the people that read that.
Yeah, no, and that was crazy too. It's like when you showed me like that art and everything, I'm like, that looks mighty familiar. It's like because I was really getting into webtoons and stuff. It's like I was debating whether to do comics or webtoons, and then I don't know. I'm like, I want to read. Let's see if there's any like Bible webtoons that maybe I like to dabble on.
Two of us at the time doing that on the site. There was another guy that did like this colored pencil, and it was like really beautiful, and he got, like a lot of views. And there was mine. I was like, hey, I'm over here with 100. Hey, how's it going? I think I'm gonna quit.
Yeah, no. So I want to ask you that because out of all the stories of the Bible that you could have interpreted or make a story out of it, why Elijah? Why Elijah of that story in particular? Like why you feel invested to do that story?
Elijah is a very personal story for me. In terms of faith, I feel like that's kind of where I'm at. Elijah was very blunt up front, but he's also a coward deep down inside. So he can make these bold proclamations. He could walk into the temple and just proclaim, "No rain, you guys are done," and then walk out and be like, "Yeah." And then he would just be like, "Oh crap, what did I just do?" Like he would just suddenly come to that realization. So that's very much me in a nutshell with my faith and my walk, is that I can go out there and just really proclaim these things and be a staunch advocate for the Christianity and everything. And then once I get out of it, I'm like, what did I just do? Oh my gosh. So and for him at the end, when he stood up against all those worshipers of Baal and decimated their prophets and made fun of them, and it just wiped out, was it 500, 300 priests and worshipers of Baal, and proved all of them inferior to what was going on in that situation when God poured rain and lit the fire and the altar and everything and the sacrifice. And then when I'm forgetting her name, Jezebel proclaimed that she's gonna, okay, we're putting a hit on him now. He did this to kill him. And then he was like, oh shoot, they're gonna kill me. Like, well, what were you expecting, Elijah? So then he runs off. And, so that's been a huge component. But actually, okay, a little factor here. The biggest part that always stood out to me was when God took care of him and sent him out into the wilderness. He goes, okay, I'm gonna protect you during this drought. You're gonna have everything you need. You're gonna have the source of the river, the flowing water, and I'm gonna send ravens to come and feed you. So ravens play a big deal in my work. The BMR logo has a raven on top of it. My main character is named Raven. The book's about ravens. Ravens are going to be a big component in the story. And to me, when God came and brought the ravens to him, it was a way of God showing, hey, I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to give this to you. And so that's something that I've always been very, that's how I've had to walk. That's how I've had to live. I don't think I've actually obtained anything through my own measures. In fact, when I'm trying to, I fail miserably. I can say, like, even this right now, the results of this is not my own work. I can't do this on my own. He's very much put this forward for me. And so that's been a big thing. That's always been part of my messages is he's going to provide. I mean, that's what he's been doing for me and my family. I have 5 kids, and I don't know how we financially make it always, but he's always provided us in some manner or form or another that I'm not always sure how we get through it. 5 kids, they eat a lot of food. They eat a lot.
Just wait till they go through puberty, man. They'll be like, I'm starving. I'm like, I gave you like the whole food in the fridge. There's nothing left.
So yeah, ravens are a big deal, and that's something that has is kind of like by signature. You're gonna see that everywhere. Raven's not my middle name. It's just kind of my proclamation. From my standpoint. And then also when you look at Edgar Allan Poe's that story and Nevermore, and that there's kind of a crossplay there, but excuse me. But yeah, Elijah was kind of my a big inspiration. That's why that was the first thing I ever worked on. And then I moved over to Northern Nights, which was after my first two boys were born. Just seeing these two innocent kids and just the way they played and they beat each other up. Because I grew up with just a sister, and then having two boys around was just such a different thing for me. And just seeing the fantasy and adventures that would come up with now, I was just really inspired by that. And at the time, I was kind of going through the biblical part of when the Israelites were put into captivity by the Babylonians, and so Northern Nights is actually based off of that whole entire story, but used in a Final Fantasy sort of setting. So the Turtle Nation is the Israelites in this story, and the Boer Empire, which is the Babylonians, because I'm really original, come and take them over and take them into slavery. I was up to the main character, Timid, who is actually based on my oldest son, because they're very similar in nature, are the ones that have to go in, perform the duty to go save his people. So it follows a very biblical nature of, they get captured, they get sent off, and then you kind of find out, well, they were captured for a reason. That was done several years ago, and I haven't continued it since. And I only got 3 issues in, and so I'm putting the full collection into this. So I used to only sell it at churches and conventions.
Oh, wow.
And just got kind of to a point where I was getting kind of tired of working on somewhat of an all ages material, and tragedies from the past started to affect my current state. And so when I wanted to really work on something that, while I was angry, I didn't have to work on a happy face, and I wanted to express the same emotion I felt. So that's how Demon Hunter Raven came about. It was to express all this anger that I had built up, and instead of taking it out on my family and becoming this monster, I would just sit up late at night and just draw these things that I was just like, I'm so pissed, or I'm just in this headspace and I can't do this anymore. So I went from like talking about biblical stuff to just this really angry guy. But
hey man, you can't say you're one-dimensional after this stream, right?
Right.
No, but dude, it's like, it's so funny too. It's like, what I love about comics, bro, is like, especially as creative people, is like, there's so many ways for us to vent out, and creativity is another way for us to escape, and for us to escape is going to be another gateway for them to escape in it.
Right.
And they'll be like, hey, it's like, just reading this comic is like, I know this creator, like, he and I can relate to this.
Right.
And, and it's just like that, man. It's creativity is beautiful, but just touching somebody's life and just a small smidge of it could really make a huge difference, because that right there just tells me, like, you found a way to, like, in a healthy way to, vent out. And you did it in a healthy way to vent out, be creative. And this character is me. It's like, there's no other way. It's me.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever read The Crow by James O'Barr?
I have not read The Crow, but I've watched snippets of the movie. I've heard, like, biographies and all this stuff. What's the meaning behind The Crow? But yeah, that's another thing too, is like, I felt as well. Is like, man, it's like, out of all animals, it's a raven. It's like, there has to be some kind of meaning behind it. Because I was thinking about Noah and the Ark, but I forgot whether it was, because I know Noah let go of 2 birds. One was the dove, and then the dove, and I believe it was a crow. It was a crow that
yeah, because crow
it was a crow.
So but yeah, the ravens are significant to Demon Hunter Raven. There's a double play there. The main character's name is Raven. But I'll reveal something to you tonight. His full name is not just Raven. It's actually called the Lightning Raven.
Wow.
So take what you guys want with it. You guys will discover that later on. But anyone that's listening now, keep that in mind, because Raven will be a significant part, but he's not the only one.
Oh, man. I got to highlight this because this is funny. You got kids, Nicholas?
I do.
Not just 2. He has 5. I was in shock too when I wasn't the first lucky dude to interview Nick. That was Paul himself, the Cavalry Collective. It's like, dudes, when I get to see you 2 together, like, the faces that helped me out with this channel, it, like, dude, it's like, I was like on full mode, just sharing everything. I even DM'd like few people on my Instas. Like, I DM'd Tyler, Justin, even other creators that I've DM'd with long time before. So, but it's fun because, and 2 is like, everything goes back with Tyler. It's like, we're in full circles, like freaking like a family reunion.
Well, and Tyler's got an awesome book he's going to be putting out soon. I mean,
oh my God,
so many good things. I can't wait.
I can't wait. You and I, we're gonna like have like a fan art match.
Yeah, no, dude, your one you did was awesome. You did a really good one.
No, dude, honestly, I wasn't even thinking of doing any fan art for chefs until like I saw yours. Like, oh man, I gotta one up this guy. It's like I gotta take Nick down, put him in his place.
That's the way to do it. Provide your services.
Yeah,
going back to that networking we were talking about earlier. If you have that gift, use it. You know,
yeah.
and use it to your advantage. Network with people. You know, because like you and me, when people do fan works on my characters, or like people do it for your characters, I'm like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, that sucked. You know, why didn't you draw it like this? I'm like, no, man, I love each and every one of them. It's like, I got people saying like, I've got artwork coming for you right now. I'm like, really? Okay, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Like half my Instagram or some stuff that I didn't pay some of those people to do it. They did it on their own because they're inspired by it, and we networked through that, and we started talking. And there's the very first image on this Kickstarter is Raven with a bird in the background that's lighted up. And that's by a guy named Gabriel Whitney. I'm probably butchering his last name, so I'm really sorry. But he was the very first person. Like when we first got on Instagram, we were the first two people that followed each other. And that was about 8 years ago or so. And we've just been following each other's journeys back and forth. So if you ever go look up his name, Gabriel Whitney, it's Gabriel Danger Whitney, and he's on Instagram. And he's got some really cool books. But he did a Patreon exclusive a while back called The Valley of Bones. And it was quite literally about that part in the Bible, about I forget who it is, Ezekiel or one of those guys.
Yeah, and, I believe it was Ezekiel.
Yeah, and he did a whole book, and he didn't reveal that that's what the actual story was. He just showed these images, and it was like awesome. And then you get to the end, you're like, oh my gosh, wow, he blew my mind. So he's got some good books out there that people need to check, but he's not out there as in front of people. But he's got some good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'll most definitely look into it. But dudes, we're gonna close the night. If you guys want to leave any last questions, I'll most definitely will highlight it for Nick to answer. But yeah, no, it's been fun, dudes. Help Nick out. I know we've already went to, he already reached his goal. Like, look at that guy, guys, 1,280 bros. Is like before, like I looked at the first Demon Hunter Raven. And it just like the goal was 500 and it was 680, I believe, that, he was able to make it. And that was the first book for Demon Hunter Raven. Now look at this huge jump with 0 to 2. Huge, huge difference. I mean, it would take maybe like maybe 4 or maybe even 8 years just to hit that $1,000. Well, and that's for someone to like be very invested to their characters.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? My first campaign took me a month to get to 44 backers and $616. And I fought for every single one of those backers. Like I did drive up, I went hard and I tried to get every single one of those backers that I did. Like I worked hard for that. And to have this now come back and be like, all right, cool. You got and the people that backed the first one are coming back, so that means I did something right, I hope.
Wow. No, for real, dude. No, because so here are the stretch goals, guys, because we've already hit the first stretch goal and we get to get a trading card. The art is done by Robert Nix. That is fantastic. And for the 3,000 goal, we got Raven and Violet mini print. Who's the artist behind that? Because
I'm a butcher it, but it's a guy named Austin Wonderland. And he's not his usual style. He's got a much more realistic one, but he was doing these really painted, stylistic ones, and I just loved it. Yeah. And I don't want to say too much because once you read the book, that print will make a little bit more sense.
Okay.
So
yeah, no, most definitely.
Keep an eye out. That's a very important print.
Yeah. So, and we got the 5,000 goal, which is like, oof, got freaking Raven even going even closer to that book. So for chapter 2, it goes to 40 pages, which is 6 pages extra. So, so Nick, I'm just gonna ask you: do you already have those 6 pages in, or is it in your notes that way you know exactly like how you're gonna add within those 6 pages?
Yep. It's designed already. I have them all thumbnailed. I'm just concentrated on finishing the book as it is already. Because if we don't hit that goal, I'm gonna stay within. Because I gotta stay within a certain financial sort of limit, and we'll see. Maybe I'll add them, but as of right now, that's our big push. Let's get those 6 extra pages. I'm sorry, excuse me, man. I'm burping like crazy over here.
It's okay, man. I'm thirsting like crazy, so we have something in common.
Right on. But yeah, those 6 pages will just help what's going to help is it's going to help stretch out the story a little bit more for areas that might seem a little too quick. It will allow me to add a little bit more depth to certain scenes instead of just making it feel like scene. Because really, the book right now is printing for the exact amount that what we could afford at printing it. So since the first chapter was in black and white, and now everything's going to be in color. So I've had to change a little bit of my production because now I'm adding color, and that raises the cost of printing. And so that 6 more pages is a little bit more costly, but it'll be worth it if we can get those 6 extra pages. It just makes the story that much more fuller, and I think people deserve that.
Yeah, most definitely, man.
Right.
And now we got the big tier, which is the 7,000 goal, and is 20 pages, black and white, chapter added. So
with potential of color if we keep going further than that. So
gotcha. All right.
And that's a story that will be driven outside, that will still be within the realm of chapter 2, but it will be kind of like a separate story. It's important in terms of going further into chapter 3. So what I want to say is that story is going to be more of a haunted one, more of a horror story. And it's got a really, so the story's about demons, but it's mainly I focus heavy on the characters. Well, this side story, this extra chapter that I would add is heavy on demons. So once we start getting closer, I'll start revealing art. I'm in the process right now of fleshing that out, getting the thumbnails together. So by the time that we do hit that mark, when we get to that point, I'll be drawing it. So we'll be on task before even March hits. Everything's done. I'm just I did a March backing just in case I need to add on extra time. So, but as of right now, we're way ahead of schedule on that.
Perfect. Yeah, and we have add-ons, and I know that it's a new feature now with Kickstarter, because right now they're trying to do the same thing what Indiegogo has been doing and having add-ons, but with the add-ons is like you just select it.
Yep.
With Kickstarter, they're still maintaining it, and I know for a fact that with Larry Sai, he even explained it too. Like he had to, like I bet with you too, like he had to do a survey and everything just to do add-ons as well. So
exclusive for your show, as of an hour ago, I just got a notification that I'm okay now to do the beta add-on thing, where if you click on it, you can actually add it. So tonight or tomorrow morning, I'm going to actually go through that and manually add in, so that you don't have to, because right now I have it where like you add it extra onto your thing and then you should shoot me a message, and it's too much work for when you can just hit a button. So they just okayed me now that I can add extra features onto it. So if you want to get like 2 books or the Northern Nights, but you don't want to back up the BMR catalog layer thing, you can just go ahead and add that right to your tier right now. Tomorrow, I'm gonna try to set up so I just got the notification for it, so I got to figure out how to use it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, dude. I cannot wait. So let me just look through the chat for one last time, and then we will end it here. Let me see. See, the fan art is the greatest achievement as a creator. Yes, it is. I will totally agree with it 100%. Like I would never even think for my upcoming book, for all of you guys that are jumping on, JRPG, which is not exactly what you think, is Juvenile Radioactive Pro Wrestling Gators. It is a spoof and homage to TMNT, as well as pretty much all the things that I've experienced within my life living here in Florida. And just my love with Gators and professional wrestling all in one thing. You guys are going to have a fun time.
That's looking like a fun book.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's well, what about you, dude? What are your thoughts of fan art?
I love fan art. The more the better. Also, from a creator standpoint, that helps support us in terms of going forward. And I'm sure everyone in here has characters. Neo's talking about that. Riser Man. The first time he showed me Riser Man, I was like, I've got to draw that. And so that, like, when something sparks that sort of creativity, you gotta jump on that. I saw that the Flock had a character about one of the characters that I want to talk about real quick. Said as what is the background character for this template character, and so that is the Crusader, and he is the head of the Order's paramilitary hunter group, and I'm a little hush on him because he's a main component to the first chapter and his background, But he to break him down simply is that he's a no nonsense type of character. And so when you put him up against Raven, who's kind of arrogant, sort of hot-headed, they don't mix well together. So in the first chapter, 20-page preview, you can read it on BMR Comics. They get into a fight right away because Raven just jumps right head first into this hostage situation with the demon, and the Crusader's trying to set up. He's like, "We gotta go in as a team. We gotta take this on." And Raven's just like, "No, I'm going." So the Crusader's more of like your drill sergeant. He's no nonsense. He's there on the field. He's got your back. But if you screw up, he is in your face. Like he does not like that. So, but he's really important to the story. So when you read chapter 1, pay attention.
Awesome. So we got a last minute dude who came. We got Matthew D. Reese. What is up? What is up, Matt?
Good to see you here, Matt. And thanks for having me on last night too. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. Like, Nick, you did a fantastic job on that show, man. It's like, man, look at Nick. He's taking over this show. He's not even a Matt.
I'm going to change my name too, Matt.
Honestly, dude, it's like everyone that ever goes to the matriarchy, everyone becomes a Matt now.
They do. Well, and his show is so well composed. I mean, I started watching that real early on. And then when he told me that he was having Doug Erst on there one night, and I was like, I'm going to change my schedule. I'm going to start watching this. I can't sit and watch these not live anymore. I want to ask questions. And for me too, the biggest thing was hearing them openly talk about the Christian faith was kind of a big driving force to me. I was like, because a few years back, I was talking to my wife. I was like, I'm so tired of mainstream being so non-Christian and so like lashing out against our faith and everything. I'm tired of being lashed out against. I want to be around some people that influence my work as much as the same thought process. So when I caught his show and it showed up in a search result, it was just talking about Christians meeting up, and I was like, what is this? And then
me too, man. That was literally my hook to his show too, is the Christian faith. And
then I found him on Twitter, and I was like, this is that guy. Oh, okay. And then I was like, oh, he's really down to earth. And to give you a big shout out, even my wife really enjoyed that show, and she could care less about the stuff that I'm doing. And she was like, I enjoyed that show. He was really good. And I was like, yeah, man, that was good. So you got another fan too. My wife thought it was really good. So
fantastic. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for watching the stream. Hope you guys got to know more about Nicholas than I have, and that you guys are totally invested and excited for Demon Hunter Raven chapter 0 to 2, guys. Okay, so we're going to end the stream. Any last words, Nicholas, before we end?
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has supported, shared, backed on any level. I mean, even to you, man. I mean, just coming in there and just, backing it and sharing it and having me on your show. That means a lot, because you went out your way to even, message me, and that's pretty cool. So I didn't think that would happen, but if you guys need to ask any questions, just hit me up. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and man, I'm just blown away by all of this. Was not expecting it.
Dude, I didn't expect it just to blow up too, man. But it is what it is.
I'm excited, and now I'm planning for the dead zone, the dead period. So I'm trying to figure out how to kind of keep things moving. So, that starts that long journey.
Oh man, I can't wait, and I can't wait for some fan art too, Neo. I love your fan art, buddy.
Right.
And we got, thanks to Nick's wife. Oh man, I love Matt. He's a
good guy.
He's sweet. And he has such a unique sense of humor.
It's hard to meet guys like that in the comic world. I mean,
oh my God, yes.
To not be rude, but there's a lot of guys that are just too self-centered, and to meet someone that's down to earth and it isn't all about him, and the whole entire people, everyone he has on there, I feel like that is the general consensus of who he has on. Like, they're all very well to do people. So that's a show that I enjoy watching and just listening and partaking on.
Most definitely. All right, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you too.
If you guys have not already, go back Demon Hunter Raven, and if you already did, go and share, retweet, tag some of your buddies that you would think would back this, or even share a retweet. Do what you need to do just to get more eyes on this, and we can hit those stretch goals, guys. Okay? So see you guys later. Love you guys. You guys ooze of excellence as always. God bless. You guys are awesome.